clearly, I think at this point, we can kind of get into our first few topics. Front runner for MVP. I think there is, in terms of Vegas odds, he is by far and away the front runner at this point. Um, with Saquon Barkley kind of backing it up. Any thoughts on Josh Allen this season and just kind of what you've seen, and maybe talk about some jealousy?
Yeah, I hate to de facto give the MVP award to a quarterback because it feels like that happens more often than not. I'm not a fan of the Eagles, but I would absolutely like to see a Saquon Barkley win the MVP if it meant that the Bears are in a down year. Just for the fact that he's a running back, right? Like that value or that position is losing its value rapidly. I know that, ironically, the best running backs in the NFL were all free agents, acquired. They got some handsome contracts, so hopefully there's a dip there. But Josh Allen is the truth, man. I said it before the season started. I loved the idea of Josh Allen potentially not only going to the playoffs with a worse football team, ending up and winning the MVP would really kind of solidify his status in the NFL as one of those really top flight quarterbacks. I mean, bar none. I don't know if he is the best, all things considered, when you think about like a Patrick Mahomes, but he's top three in my opinion, no doubt whatsoever.
I'm with you, and also I going back into 2 years ago, I think was that season that he had almost a 1-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. I think he had like 25 touchdowns, like 18 interceptions or something close to that. And I remember telling Paulie that was when we still had hope for Justin Fields. I said, "Man, that's probably your comp at this point." Is that kind of risky Josh Allen type, and I don't know what he did, and it's just kind of a testament to really like just being consistent with a team, and something about Joe Brady just fits perfectly, even though it's his first year there. Um, Man, I'm more and more impressed with Josh Allen every day, every week. And that was going to be my opening question to you is I do sometimes enjoy MVP race is easy because I think MVP race ends up being quarterback of the best team, right? Or the quarterback that does the most this season, and that's what the MVP defaults to. And at the same time, you're talking about Saquon Barkley, and I love it, and I would like to see a different player other than a quarterback win the MVP once in a while. But realistically, if you put, I don't know, DeAndre Swift just back into that Philly team, maybe they're not as good as they are right now. Probably not. Maybe 2 wins less, but they're still probably a playoff team. They're still probably the best in the NFC East, I would say. Dallas, Detroit, or I'm sorry, Dallas, New York, and Washington are probably not really giving them a run for their money. But um, if you had to start a franchise right now, okay, and everything included age, contract, what they're worth, who their coaches are, who would your number one choice be?
To start a franchise.
Yeah, you just like we're talking Madden style fantasy snake draft. You get the first overall pick, and you just get to go in there and pick any player for your team. Who would you pick at this point? Because I think the conversation used to be a little bit easier and a little bit more one sided, and now I think it's a little bit more open.
It really is going to immediately start with the best young quarterback, right? I don't think that there's a quarterback in the NFL who's like top flight and also really old. So let's say Aaron Rodgers when he was winning MVPs, right? I always thought that the answer to that question, to your question in that scenario, like a 37-year-old Rodgers, I still think that that's clearly wrong, even though he's the MVP. So I think what you're alluding to is Patrick Mahomes used to be the slam dunk, absolute surefire answer. Um, I don't know. It's hard for me to not say Patrick Mahomes though, because even in a down year, he's doing the things that he needs to help win, and that's what you're looking to do with the NFL franchise is win the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna de facto to Patrick Mahomes just because he's him until proven otherwise. I'm hoping that he gets proven otherwise in the offseason this year. But what say you, Dave?
I, I usually would go as Patrick Mahomes as well, just like really, really easily, and I just say Patrick Mahomes automatically. This is the first year I think I've ever considered it, and I watching Josh Allen and just thinking about his supporting cast, thinking about his coaching staff, talent wise, I still think that Patrick Mahomes has less talent on his team somehow than Josh Allen. But maybe it's just Josh Allen elevating the supporting cast around him as well. So maybe he's just kind of entered that new level. Um, right now, and it's probably a slave of the moment type thing, and I'm known to be that type of person because I also thought Thomas Brown was the best coaching candidate for the Bears other than Sean McVay. So I'm going to say Josh Allen just because of how much he's doing on his own and not just kind of limping into wins the way that Patrick Mahomes is kind of doing with the Chiefs, but like really, really either kicking ass or keeping every single game close. So I do want to say Josh Allen, and we know that these teams are, or these franchises are carried by one guy really most of the time, and it's Josh Allen in this case. But I don't think either of us is wrong saying either Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. I just feel like Josh Allen is in his prime at this point, and that was kind of my follow up because I had a feeling one of us would pick Patrick Mahomes. Do you feel like Patrick Mahomes's best days are behind him, or is this kind of a product of the Chiefs being on a downward slope? Because I don't know if we're going to see any more three-peats from the Chiefs like we did from like the Patriots or anything like that. So shifting that conversation about Josh Allen's dominance and what I've observed with the Chiefs and whatever black magic deal with the devil they pulled off, whoever they sacrificed in the locker room, they are finding ways to win, which is awesome. Good for them. And that's kind of what the Patriots used to do, is just figure out new ways to win. But do you feel like the Chiefs are going to kind of fizzle out pretty soon? And how do you feel about that team moving forward compared to what Patrick Mahomes is able to do right now?
So the obvious, in my opinion, is that if the Chiefs were to win the Super Bowl this year, I believe that Travis Kelce will retire. I think it would just make too much sense. We've already seen his decline. Chiefs fans will say they're hopeful for one, two more Hall of Fame games out of Travis Kelce, especially one in the playoffs and the other in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs absolutely could win the Super Bowl this year. That would be the three-peat. Moving forward, though, I guess one of your parts of the question was, is Patrick Mahomes, are his best days behind him? I say absolutely not. I think that Patrick Mahomes, and even if Andy Reid isn't there for much longer, which I don't see him stepping away anytime soon, but there's just too much invested into him as far as his knowledge. He knows he has command of the offense, and I think what you're seeing out of Patrick Mahomes nowadays is he doesn't have to be the guy that throws 50 touchdowns a year to win games for his team. He has to just do whatever it takes in the moment. Tom Brady, who's becoming a better sports commentator by the day, every single time I hear him talk about Mahomes, this is what he's saying. He's echoing, he's doing the things, the little things that he has to do to help his team win, and that's what the most important things are. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for Patrick Mahomes to reinvent himself, so to speak. And I do think that the Chiefs are going to be a force moving forward as long as Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback, period.
Yeah, I'm interested in how you answered that question because I'm a little bit of both minds. So I do see Patrick Mahomes as being consistent for a very, very long time in the same way that we just penciled in the Packers for 10 wins with Rodgers pretty much every year until he left. I think that's something that's very similar with the Chiefs, but something about that team building has been starting to kind of just bug me. I think players are just going to keep being good on that team, but there's just no big shot moves kind of that I've seen out of the Chiefs in the last 3 to maybe 5 years at this point. How long ago was Tyreek traded? 3, 4 years ago. So ever since Tyreek Hill, I just don't see anybody that they've drafted on offense or on defense that's kind of filling a void of superstardom. And I don't know what that is because it's almost the same kind of curse that the Patriots had where Tom Brady was just forced to elevate mediocre players. And I don't know, it's a curse of being too good, but you have to find those players every once in a while that kind of just elevate you and elevate Patrick Mahomes. So I hope he has some 50 touchdown seasons left in him because the talent's not gone. But like you said, something's off with the Chiefs, even in a year like this, where they're still super duper good and they're 12-1, and they keep figuring out ways to win games. But I feel like there's going to be some sort of drop off, and I'm probably wrong. But as soon as Chris Jones and Travis Kelce leave, I just don't understand how they're going to maintain this level of success and excellence other than just using Patrick Mahomes as, hey, Patrick Mahomes is there, pencil in 9 to 10 wins every year. So it's possible, but I'm just like, I respect excellence, and I do want the Chiefs to continue to be excellent, but maybe they do need like 2 one or two down years, get some drafts picks, and kind of replace that superstar talent.
Stole the words out of my mouth. Look at what the San Francisco 49ers are dealing with. I think that the Chiefs should feel very lucky that they haven't had any catastrophic injuries. Again, I think the 49ers have had at one point $160 million of players accounting towards their cap space who are on IR or injured. So this is something that is probably in the cards for the Chiefs in the next 2 to 3 years. It's the nature of the beast, man. You go to 3 straight Super Bowls. That's a lot of football to be played. And they should be able to retool. The thing here, too, is that the Broncos and the Chargers are really not any slouches. I could see the Broncos regressing if the Broncos are like synonymous with the level of Bo Nix. I think that Sean Payton is really not overcoaching, but getting that quarterback to overperform, especially so early. So I don't want to call the Broncos a powerhouse. I hope you know how I feel about Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. I picked them to win last week. Obviously, they didn't. It was a very good, very close game. But moral of the story here is the Chargers have talent as well. They could get themselves a 12, 13 win season. Don't be surprised on that. And maybe the Chiefs flounder and have some sort of 6, 7 win season. At that point, you're looking at a top 15 draft pick, and you have to hope, like you said, they can retool and get those slam dunks to recoup some of these assets that are essentially going to be retiring sooner rather than later.
I would almost like to see it if that makes sense. Like I said, I appreciate the excellence, and until the Bears are competing for Super Bowls, I don't really care who else wins as long as it's interesting and it's fun to watch in January. Yeah, I think with the Chargers, it's so obvious what they need. For example, like you said, just talent players, right? Some wide receivers, some tight ends, some kind of splash players on defense, just to kind of maintain that. Well, like you said, the Broncos, they're squeezing water out of stones right now. Sean Payton is, right? He's just absolutely getting every single drop out of that rock that he possibly can, which is cool to see, but that only works for so long. Like you said, and if Bo Nix just has a down year, a sophomore slump, and he's just not throwing rookie of the year numbers out there, they're easily back to 500 or below that. Whereas with the Chiefs, I don't know what they necessarily need to make that splash elevated play. I guess I would say it's offensive line, because Patrick Mahomes is just kind of running for his life and still figuring it out, which is cool. But Rashee Rice is good. Xavier Worthy is good. I don't see who else they could draft that makes more sense for Patrick Mahomes in that type of offense to just kind of pop off the top and get back to that 50 touchdown dominant Chiefs kind of team that we're used to. And that's why I feel like there's something weird about that team.
In the middle of a Chiefs winning season, if they don't have the best talent, you've already seen they're capable of going out and getting a DeAndre Hopkins. Thank you. Yeah. So they'll be able to make the little moves that count. Again, I think with Mahomes, even with Hopkins, I don't think that receiving core is anything special. With Rashee Rice healthy, obviously he was performing well, but at the end of the day, it's Mahomes elevating the talent around him. So that's why I'm not worried about them having to find another Travis Kelce. They actually have a good tight end, Noah Gray, who's not able to shine because of Kelce. Essentially, their big issue on offense right now are their tackles. So they'll be able to retool their tackles. For them, if they're able to get, let's say the Chiefs have a down year and finish with the 15th overall pick, right? They may have to wiggle their way up into that top 10 to get a premier left tackle. But once you kind of, take it on the chin that 1 year, hopefully you hit on that left tackle, and then you're set for the rest of Mahomes' career at that point. So they're doing everything right. If we're talking about the Chiefs and what could really set them far back moving forward, or I guess in the future, I think that it's Spagnuolo, right? Their defensive coordinator. He is fantastic. He's able to take these players like L'Jarius Sneed, have them overperform, have them leave via trade, and then you see he's essentially either got benched or got put on IR by the Titans. That's what the magic is, in my opinion. Because last year they had one of the best defenses. Obviously they're regressing a little bit, but they're still talented and they're obviously still winning games.
That or they need to trade up and probably get a Chris Jones replacement. But the Chiefs are smart, and they know that left tackles and defensive tackles are taken in the top 10, and they'll probably package something together and throw it up there. So that was kind of my NFC West kind of thought process, because I really did enjoy that Chargers game. I do just wish that they had a picture of Matt Nagy's face on screen as that kick doinked in instead of out.
Are you saying you wish you saw it because you didn't? Because if you saw it, I would love to see it for myself as well.
No, I didn't see it. I was watching it and I was like waiting for
He
them to
was
pan over
probably
to Matt
hiding
Nagy.
behind Big Red. Yeah, I would love
Man,
to
that would
see
have been
that. Yeah,
hilarious.
absolutely.
Lucky Matt Nagy this time around.
Yeah.
Guess that's a difference it makes. Any other things on that, or did you have anything else to move on with some other conferences for us?
I don't know how early we want to get into the NFC playoff picture. I guess we can kind of cap off the AFC. We saw a fantastic game from the Bengals. It's just too little, too late for them, right? The
Yeah,
Steelers are somehow running away with their division. Um, the Baltimore Ravens, did they play a football game this week or did they have a bye
they did
week?
not. They were on bye.
They had a
I guess
bye week.
I do have a question because I just keep hearing this doubt on the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin, and we can get a little bit Bearsy here. Um, guys, Justin Fields was replaced, and they instantly saw success in Pittsburgh. So I'm sorry. Like, let's just get through that and get over that. Bears fans who are in our channels and our mentions and whatever. Um, are the Pittsburgh Steelers for real, and is it Russell Wilson? Because for some reason in my head, I do want to say that they're real because they look so damn good. I just can't visualize Russell Wilson holding another Lombardi trophy as a Pittsburgh Steeler. Just something about Russell Wilson will never, I can't imagine him actually carrying the Pittsburgh Steelers to another Super Bowl. Maybe we're just wrong and we're underrating them, and maybe we're just doubting them a little bit. But Pittsburgh, man, I don't know how you feel about them, but do you think that they're for real or are they just like missing one more piece?
I think that while it was a very clear and obvious upgrade when they it changed from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson, I just don't know if it's enough, right? Like, George Pickens is a talented wide receiver. He's a CTE bubble ready to burst, like Antonio Brown, but I'm not sure that I'm ready to say that I'm scared of them whatsoever. Um, right now, the playoff picture would indicate that the Chargers, who are the sixth seed in the AFC, would be going to the Steelers, who are the third seed. That is about as good of a coin flip as I could think of, even with the Steelers' home field advantage. And I think the world of Mike Tomlin. Obviously, I'll say it again. Hopefully, everyone knows how I feel about Jim Harbaugh and the former Michigan coach and himself. But the Chargers could go in there and knock them off, and I wouldn't bat an eye. Like, the Steelers, to me, while they're a winning organization and consistently and probably always will find a way to have a winning record, at least under Mike Tomlin, the Steelers are definitely not a team that I would be afraid of if, regarding the playoffs.
It just always feels like they're missing one thing from one more year away.